to that particular band, they're each geniuses in their own right,
Absolutely.
right? I actually, it's funny that we talk about Tool because this is like Pink Floyd to me is probably the Tool of the 70s, right? Like
Yeah.
they it was not as polyrhythmic, but it was like conceptually and like theatrically
On another level.
on another fucking level. So
Mhm.
I think that the Tool just grabbed that baton. Now you can say King Crimson also,
Mhm.
like like because of prog rock, and then the polyrhythms and the weird, uh, taking rock to the next level.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that all started like in the late with Dream Theater in the late '80s and then the '90s, kind of like um,
It
Tool.
may
Tool made it metal. Tool made it like prog rock metal. You
yeah.
know,
It makes me wonder what the kids who are playing instruments now that are deep into Tool
yeah.
and can master that kind of stuff, it makes me wonder what their brain is going to be like. Oh, here's the next level. This is where we need to take the next level.
It's in my opinion, it's already happened. And after the show, I'll send you a band that's changing the game. You might already know them. Polyphia, and
Uh,
his
I
name is
know the name.
Tim Henson.
Okay.
You can't miss him. He's got a neck tattoo like a really big fucking like you can't miss him. He's got long ass like he looks like the fucking Nightmare Before Christmas guy. He
Sweet.
is, yeah, just like you think a guitar player would. But and super emo, like has like the emo kind of hair, and he sits, crosses his legs when he plays. He has changed the fucking guitar game in such a way that people are like struggling to catch up.
Yeah.
He's doing Tool shit, but like like
Right.
it shouldn't be done. It shouldn't be done. There's riffs that's like, what are you doing? How do you
He,
even do that?
he just hears it on a different level.
That's right. He
Mhm.
digest it, right? Like
Mhm.
I can pull off these certain things that nobody else can do by slapping it, sliding it. Like he incorporates everything that people would be good at one thing about. Like, yeah, have you heard of Derek Trucks?
Uh, yeah.
Played with the Allman Brothers. He's the king of slide, right?
Right.
This guy's a god. This guy's a god's like guitarist. Like he's up there with BB King. Like he's unbelievable. However, he's probably one of the guys that can do almost everything, but like he takes the slide to a next level. This kid just like can do anything and
And
has
does.
progressed it to the next level. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I'll send you that. So you can check.
Absolutely.
Mhm. What's up, everybody? Hello,
How you
everybody
doing?
watching. Hey, everybody on YouTube and Facebook. What's going on, guys? So we're having a deep conversation about music, but really, we have a jam-packed show. Welcome to the live stream. I haven't done this in like about gosh, 3 weeks to a month. The last time was Rocksteady. Now we have my buddy J-Nunya here, fellow Las Vegas dweller, was a Las Vegas dweller, went to school here.
Hmm.
Yep. And tonight's episode, if you didn't notice by the background, we're talking about UAPs. We're talking about the headlines that are going on across the country now, right? It's taking it by storm. There's so many things going on in the media right now, so many things to take a look at politically. This, which ties in kind of politically as well, obviously with the military. But my God, we have so much to share too. I have a lot of videos, information to share. We're going to go as chronologically as possible as well, so that's going to be fun. Uh,
Perfect.
but yeah, so let's start off with you, man. Like, what's your experience with Vegas? I know you're a military brat, and you kind of came up that way, but
Hmm.
tell me about growing up in different places and landing in Vegas.
Uh, here's the thing. Um, Being a military brat and moving all over, I was raised on mob movies, right? The mafia, the old casino movie, Vegas, and I get to Vegas and I'm like, I really kind of didn't believe any of it. I mean, I believed it happened. I just didn't believe it could still be happening in the late 80s. Um, and then I got to high school there and met quite a few influential people, um, and realized how actually close they were tied into um, the mafia scene. Um,
Are you talking about having like friends in high school that their friends that their family was tied to the mob, that were mobsters, that were
Absolutely.
kind of ran the city, right? Like,
Absolutely.
mm,
I went to high school with Tony Spilotro Jr. Turns out I didn't realize at the time the neighborhood that I moved into, Spilatro's actual house, where he had the vault and all this is on Google. So it was within walking distance of my house. It was literally around the corner. And I was like, wow, that stuff's really not happening. It's really happening. Like really happening. And I got a slap in the face real quick that uh, it's yeah, big giant high school that I enrolled in, but there were a lot of old mob ties to the kids that I went to high school with. They're 17, 18 years old. Their parents have been there since the 60s and the 70s, like right in mob times. Um, so yeah, I didn't really realize how deep the connections ran until I got there and got to meet some people and start to get a lay of the land, so to speak.
gotcha. So really, your first, it wasn't even like so. Did you know? Oh, I guess it's twofold. What I'm going to ask you, like, did you know before the city you were in, because you moved around a lot, because your dad was a pilot, and we'll get into that super interesting story later.
Yep.
Because I mean, this story is great because we actually have it's about UAPs. We're catching up with headlines. We're kind of disseminating what the fuck is going on with our skies, with our military, with cover ups, what people have known for 50 plus years, and now suddenly it's all over the news. But really, your first thing with Vegas was the mafia. Did you
Mhm.
know? Did you know about the mafia before you got to Vegas, and did you know about UAPs before you got to Vegas?
Um, I definitely knew about Area 51.
Okay,
I either believed or didn't believe all the wild stories you would hear and the different things you would read in the media. So I was pretty open minded on that. But the mafia thing was one of those kind of American romantic stories. It just seemed a little more intriguing. And then I started to meet some people, and I was like, oh, yeah, these ties run deep. And that's when I got a real feel for old school Vegas. I was there in the late 80s and got tied into the 60s real fast because of the people that I met. So it was an interesting time to try to learn about it, but at the same time, my dad was employed at Area 51.
right,
So I was also intrigued by that.
exactly.
So it was an interesting time.
How
Very
old
interesting.
how old were you in when you got here to
17.
you were 17, so you were right on the cusp of,
Yep.
like, you're ready to believe anything. You were ready to, you're this is your formative years, like, if,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
so you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to believe. Did you wanna believe in aliens? Is it something that interests you, or you were just like, "Meh"?
No, no, no. It's I've always had the thought that why would I think they don't exist? The infinite or the universe is just goes on.
You I
How do
give
you
you I can
how
give
do you
you a
have an
couple
end
reasons.
space?
I
How do
can
you
give you
have it's just it's humans are so tiny. The universe is so big. How can I ever think that we will be the only planet that had the ability to have life, grow life
right,
in whatever terms you put life? And then, so I never thought, oh, well, that would never happen. Why couldn't it happen? I'm not getting chased down the street by a T Rex now, but T Rexes were here.
right.
So,
Mhm.
what makes it sound so unfeasible that at some point in time or some place, somewhere, maybe another planet, maybe another spectrum, maybe another frequency, there was something bigger going on. I was open minded. I was literally open minded kid. So,
Yeah, same.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's to my downfall because I wanna believe. So, sometimes I feel like I become a little gullible when it comes to these really cool stories, especially the more fantastical they get because they're getting more and more fantastical by the day. Um,
Hmm.
as referenced by Senator Marco Rubio, just came out with an incredible piece, basically on News Nation and followed up by Fox. That we not only David Grush, which we'll get into, who David Grush is, a high level intelligence officer, Afghani war combat veteran, super decorated. I mean, highest clearance possible. He came forward with some pretty incredible claims, but they are not firsthand claims. So people like that, you know, we'll kind of get into what we know about him, but as far as Marco Rubio coming out with, there are more of them, just like him, that are probably still in the military.
Hmm.
That's going to be crazy. So we'll get into that in a little bit. The Married Couple podcast says, I have a great uncle that was born in the mob. He lived in Vegas. Tell us more about that. Leave me a message. And we want to know about that. We'll do like a double mob UAP kind of a thing. They have so much in common.
That's got to be from Sam I Am side.
You know it. And the conclusion, he's dead now.
Of course it is.
RIP, sir. And he's dead now. Well, condolences. I'm sure it was a while ago, but still. Leave us a message and let us know a little bit about him. So, okay,
Absolutely.
so you had friends in the mob. You kind of grew up to that, and you were from here from 17 to. I mean, I met you here, so I know that you lived here well into your um late
Technically,
30s.
technically, no. Here's the way that timeline played out. Moved there in '87. Graduated high school in '89. Um, joined the military myself in December of '92. So basically 1993. So
Got
I
it.
had '87 to '93, and then I went active duty military and was in the Air Force myself. Married a lady that I was stationed with. Um, she had family back around the Omaha area, so I moved back to Omaha for about 16 years. And then I ended up going back to Vegas in 2013.
Got it.
So, and I was there for 11 years, basically. Yeah,
Yeah, right up
10
until
years, 10 years until I just moved back a month ago.
exactly. And I've been here for 6, so that we overlapped.
Right.
We didn't meet on terrestrial Vegas grounds. We met through that app that most of our crew met on.
Yeah.
But now, we've actually met in person. We've hung out. A
Hmm.
lot of people that in our crew that we got to do that with our amazing Vegas trip that they took.
Absolutely.
I vote that they should do a Vegas trip every year.
Yeah.
That's what I fucking vote.
I couldn't agree more.
Rocksteady, as always, we leave messages on my Midnight Media IG. It's right there on the bottom at Midnight Media TV _TV. So that's where we're leaving messages. Yeah, please do
Perfect.
that. It's now 2 years from now in Australia. So he's probably already going through disclosure. He knows exactly what's going to happen. Please let us know. Actually, Australia is a hotbed of UFO activity because the land is so vast and it's just a massive continent. Um,
That's
there's
why I feel like Nevada has they've got the airspace.
yeah, absolutely.
They've got the secret base out in the middle of nowhere for a
Mhm,
reason,
mhm.
and they have so much airspace around there. And if you've ever driven like literally from like Vegas to Reno and you've done it at nighttime, it is pitch black.
There's nothing.
Pitch
There's
black.
nothing. We drove to Tahoe.
Love Tahoe.
I love that fucking place. That place
Yeah.
is beautiful. I thought about so much how I wanted to retire there, but it's a finite amount of you know
Mm,
land around a lake. But
right.
it's a fucking fun place. We rented on the California side. We had a great time.
Yep.
Um, and but again, just lots of land, lots of also they had to do it. The military will tell you, well, there's nothing nefarious going on. What we're doing is we're tossing bombs in the air and we're trying to see, we have
Right.
the Nevada test site, and that's why. But also, I believe that because we're doing this, that's why we're getting more visitations and kind of everyone's kind of the extraterrestrials are like checking us out, right?
That's the theory I've heard.
Mhm.
It's one of the theories I've heard is that um, they're checking in because they don't want us to get ahead of ourselves in technology. And like, I don't know, it was a super weird conversation that I listened to the other day. Interesting, but it approached it from a different view than I always thought of it as, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. I guess what would be the motivation for that though? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like
To be
what?
honest with you, I mean, it's, it's, are we somebody's science project in a terrarium and they're coming in to check on us?
You realize
They got-
that would shatter every type of religion we have, and we have over what 20,000 religions or whatever, like worldwide.
I've always felt, listen, any civilization stuff you look back to, you look back at the pyramids, the Valley of the Gods, they were influenced by something, or humans just have the primal need to believe that something bigger than them. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. Who's to say one religion's right, one religion's wrong? But
Well,
maybe there is something that's shaping. Maybe maybe there is some sort of interaction at times to change the projection of where the human race is going.
right.
I don't mean it sounds too deep or too high or too anything, but maybe
You're too high.
never too high. But there is something that is, every couple hundred years, every 500 years, every 1,000 years, there's full civilizations that are built on a full set of beliefs, and they have their gods, they have their warships, they will sacrifice people, they will do everything in the name of it. But what made them get to that point that somebody was so convincing that that was God?
Right.
That was God.
Well, I think people were a little bit less sophisticated back then. So
Mm,
the sophistication level of the average person was one that they wanted to believe. Like you said, we honestly do want to believe in a higher power. We want to believe that things are in something else's hands because
right,
God, if this is all we have, then this is too brutal to even wrap your mind around.
right.
When you're born, you're
And
born
you
to,
want to know that when you die, there's something after that.
and that's not to get into the religion thing too deep, but to a certain extent, I believe the religions were made to um, answer that very question for people who couldn't really extrapolate beyond that or have an idea of
Mm,
of what's going on. So to make people work as much as they can until they die, they can't really know they're a serf from the moment they're they're living it to the
right,
moment they die. There must be something more, and if the better you are and the harder work you do, and the more you show up to chisel a pharaoh's toe like in Futurama, and
right.
you live, that's your whole life, then you're going to be discouraged. You're not
You're
going
gonna,
to.
I've always felt, and I'm gonna say the exact same thing with saying it just a little bit differently. I always felt like religion was a um, set of rules to keep people in line.
Certainly.
Because if you don't, something out there,
Existential. Yeah.
maybe right there, is gonna come get you.
And we don't know the exact rules on, we have a good, like, loose premise on how good you have to
Right,
be, but like how you can bend it. Some you can bend it, some you can cherry pick things that are nice and get rid of the torture parts and like the incest parts and be like, that doesn't exist,
right.
but especially in the first, in the not the King James, but the Old Testament, it's just there's some brutal shit in there that then that's why they almost had to like sanitize it a bit. They're like, whoa,
Yeah.
maybe we should, we already have to explain enough with the zombie and with the incest and a boat that carried one of everything, including ants and elephants. Like there's enough questions, right, that we have to answer.
Mhm.
Let's kind of clean it up a little bit because there's some
Yeah.
brutal shit.
I feel like a lot of it's just been made to keep people sheep. Keep the minions in line.
If
Keep
there's
the
always
minions in line.
if there's always something better,
Give them fear.
exactly.
Let them know there's a reward at the end.
J-Nunya, is it any different today? I beg the question.
Nope,
We have
absolutely not.
Rocksteady leaving a message, and let's see what he has to say. My good friend from Australia, everybody's friend.
How you going, guys? Just want to leave you a message. Of course, I'm looking forward to this show. This is one of probably my favorite subjects of all time. So, yeah, I have my own little opinions on David Grush, what's going on at the moment, which you'll get to later. But interested to hear
Thank you,
Fernando's
brother.
story as well about Vegas, and yeah, really unpack this, guys. It'll be be a fascinating subject.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, sir.
Dude, thank you so much for leaving the message. Yeah, absolutely. And everyone, of course, is able to do that. All you have to do is go to at midnight media underscore TV on IG. It's scrolling down there at the bar. And you're able to just go right there. Usually people are on their phones, so you can just pop right over to mine. Give me a follow. And if you're not following on YouTube or D Live or the myriad of places I'm at, like Twitch and Facebook, and people watching on YouTube. So thank you to everyone that's doing that. At the same time, I want to kind of go into what we're talking about. So being from Vegas, and then finally we get to kind of like your formative years. You join the military. You kind of give us that story of the up until now. Tell us about your father and kind of. I know he's a pilot, and he was uh, really courageous, especially during the Vietnam War. Tell us about kind of like what planes he flew, and a little bit about your dad, and then we'll go into the heavier stuff here.
So he got drafted into the Vietnam War through the Army Air Corps at the time. They weren't necessarily Air Force at the time; it was Army Air Corps. He had college background. They saw something and decided that they were going to put him in flight school and teach him how to fly planes. So he learned how to fly planes, and immediately got sent over to Vietnam in the war. So his crash course in flying airplanes was landing cargo planes in the Vietnamese jungle, flipping them in an open field, dumping all the cargo out, letting all the Marines put their deceased and their wounded in the back, and flying out under fire. And did this for a long time.
Wow.
And flew many, many successful missions over there.
Imagine the stones that this man has
I know, right?
or had to. Is he still with us?
He is not.
Okay. I'm
Yep.
so sorry. I'm so sorry for that. But
I appreciate it.
he's a damn American hero, just so you know
Yeah,
that. Everybody should know that. Anybody who has the stones to get into a plane that large, not to mention a plane that's more manageable and flyable than a C-130, which is a humongous plane, and be able to drop off cargo, pick up our wounded, our living, our deceased, so their family can be able to, memorialize
Have a
them when they get
funeral.
home. That's a huge thing.
Mhm.
Tell me how you treat your dead, and I'll tell you how you treat your people, right? So,
Right.
that's that to me. That was a super moving, like heroic thing. You think about the greatest American heroes doing this, and to do it once is amazing. To do it several times, to do it 100 times, that's major stones.
Yeah.
When did you guys? So you bounced around, and then you guys got to Las Vegas. Where did he go right into flying into? Is that why he came to Las Vegas, to be able to fly that direct flight to the J.A.N.E.T to Area 51, or is that
What
something he moved into?
This is how his path went. He flew in the war, flew cargo planes. When he was released from his duties in Vietnam, he came back and started flying T-38 trainers and T-39 jets. And then as the years progressed, he became he flew Learjets and was basically like a general's pilot. Flew the important people around in C-21A Learjets, getting to go where they wanted to go. So he finally retired as a colonel. Got out in the first 2 years he got out, he got a job at Midway with Midway Airlines out of Chicago's Midway Airport
Right.
and flew commercial planes until he got hired on special projects. And that's where his government clearance came in, and he spent the next 20 years flying out of McCarran, and actually became the head pilot and did all the hiring and firing. Didn't have to fly as much, but put all his people in motion for the day and would get everything settled and get people where they're going. So, but he flew in and out of Area 51 for 10 years. Easy.
Hey, it's my brother. Good to see Alex. What's going on, man? Yeah, we're getting to know J-Nunya. J-Nunya, this is Alex, my brother.
How you doing?
Yeah, man. My family brother, actually.
Nice.
Not the brothers
Nice.
that not the brothers I choose like you guys, but
Right.
I couldn't get a better one than that. So,
Perfect.
what's up, little brother? Good. He's super interested in the subject, and we were just getting into the fact that J-Nunya's dad was a C-130 pilot. I'm not sure when you showed up, but he was a C-130 pilot in Vietnam. Flew a bunch of combat missions into the field of fire with picking up all types of people and veterans that are trying to get the fuck out of the suck. And
Mhm.
thank God for him. And if not for people that brave, we wouldn't have a country today. So,
That's truth.
um, so okay, so along this path, so he becomes basically the corporate chef, right? He's not in the kitchen
Mhm.
anymore as much, but he's still making the decisions on the menu.
Yeah.
Um, so during the Janet flights, was that like kind of a secretive time in his life? Could he not tell you stuff when he finally started doing that? Was that something he gunned for, or is that something he was hand chosen because he was so good?
I think it's a combination of both.
Mm.
I think he knew he was going to end up in some sort of position like that. He had he had his clearances. He had combat trained, fantastic record through the years. Had all his clearances. Flew everything they ever actually wanted him to fly. So he had the resume for it. Um, I think it was his goal to get over there, um, and do that. And he just loved to fly. Loved to fly.
I would
Fly
imagine.
anywhere.
Of course. No, and I'm not a big plane guy. I love aeronautics. I love the way they look, what they do, the propulsion systems. I'm a nerd for military tech. I'm a nerd for this, Space Force, obviously, like
Right.
how we're about to militarize space some fucking how, but we're doing it.
Yep.
And such a pristine place where nothing really happened for billions and trillions of miles. Suddenly
Right.
we're gonna militarize it and make a space force, meaning that we have to be forceful in space, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
It's wild.
so um, there has to be some level of secrecy, right? Like
Absolutely.
he was read into some levels of things. Either that, I know that there's compartmentalized parts of this where it's so it's so completely sectioned off from the rest of it. So this person in this part of the equation may know what he needs to know, which is obviously a need to know
Mhm.
special project. And then maybe your dad was just read into like this is your job, back and forth. I just I would just wonder if he knew more because obviously he was the best of the best. We're talking about fucking Top Gun, right? Like,
Right.
are you just gonna make Maverick go back and forth from McCarran to
Did
Area
did he
51?
did he
Because
become an Uber driver?
you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
feel it's hard to believe. Like, I think we would be misusing his talents by making him basically a commercial, albeit a super important one that needs to keep a secret, blah blah blah. Or is it just was he compartmentalized out of it, or did he know
So
a little bit
here's the
more?
thing, and it's interesting you put it that way because here's the thing. I always asked him questions, and his standard answer was, "If I tell you, I got to kill you." Literally, that was his answer to me, and I have a
We
son.
we have a friend like that who literally tells me that to this day, and he just
Yeah.
became a master sergeant. And I ask him that just to fuck with him all the time. I'm like, "Tell me what you know." He's like, "I'm gonna have to kill you."
If I tell you, I got to kill you, and he would never say anything about it. Nothing. But I knew about what his daily routine was. He would get up at 3 something in the morning, um, get his uniform on, get showered, get shaved, get down to the airport. His 4 something 30 in the morning flight would take off. He might or might not fly into another state that's nearby, land, pick up scientists, pick up people that were headed to Area 51 to work, fly them in, drop them off. When he was there, I know he had enough access to, he said, I will go take a walk in the desert. So I knew he had access to the grounds. Probably didn't have access to the buildings, but he had an area he could go wander in. He said, I'll go get my walk in, I would go get my exercise in, and then there would be a shift getting off of work,
Mhm.
and I would fly them back out, drop them off at the appropriate places, and usually by 1 in the afternoon, he was out on the golf course.
Really?
Loved golf.
My dad too. Right, Alex? So, okay, so it seems pretty benign. It almost is fitting in the category of, yeah, just a walk in the desert.
Yeah.
Just a walk in the desert.
Thank you, Allison.
However, I feel like, okay, great. So we got the best of the best. We got the best of the best out there. You know, we basically have Maverick out there taking our highly important people. Now let's get to the people. I know he never talked about it, but if we were to speculate, or depending on what you know or don't, if we were to speculate, what kind of people were on that? I know that the friend of ours, a close personal friend of ours, that is the Master Sergeant, does. I'm not sure if I can disclose this, but does take the J.A.N.E.T. You know, but
Mhm.
you know, back and forth to this day. However, he is the same kind of person, super secretive. Like it's almost like a it's almost like a joke at this point. It's like I'm gonna have to kill you, you know. But
Yeah.
I know that he will. like I'm gonna have to slit your fucking throat and put you in a body bag and
Right.
drop. You know,
Well, I said to my dad, I'm like,
this is Rose.
you raised me. You know me.
Right.
You know everything there is to know about me. You're the one
Right.
person in the world that knows everything, and you can't say nothing to me.
You
He
wipe
said,
my ass.
and he said, if I tell you, I got to kill you. I was like, all right. I got tired of asking after a while. I was like, whatever.
Let's
He ain't
let's
never
go.
gonna say nothing. He got paid handsomely for that job, and he's not gonna say anything to me. He just is not going to do it.
Can we
So
go?
he
Can we go down a rabbit hole for a second?
absolutely.
Do you think your dad would kill you, or would have killed you if he had to for that? I know it's a crazy ass question.
I don't know, but here's the thing I do know. He wasn't gonna say anything. He wasn't gonna put himself in that situation.
Right. So
Would he have? Could he have? Sure.
better be a tomb than have a family member in danger.
Right. Right. Why say anything? If it's gonna jeopardize his future, my future, why would you bother saying anything?
And my bowels.
Right.
My wife is insane. Yeah. So, hello, Mrs. Red Rose. Welcome to the show. How
Hi,
are you?
Rose.
Thank you for being here, a dear, close, personal friend. Brand new channel that she just set up last night. We helped her out a little bit, and she's up and going. So, if you can give Red Rose a follow, she's going to do some late night
Congrats.
talks. Yeah.
Congrats. That's awesome.
You can frolic in her garden at night. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, let's see. The Married Couple podcast says, "What are the J.A.N.E.T flights and why are they named that?"
Mm.
I believe that that's a loaded question
It is a
because
little quick.
you might and you also might know already the answer to the Married Couple podcast if that is your real name.
Yeah.
Why is
Right.
that?
So the J.A.N.E.T flights, that coined was term in the late 80s. Um, it stands for just another non-existent terminal. Um, the head pilot at the time coined that term. It stuck. The media ran with it. Yes, Alex, just another non-existent terminal. Um,
Alex is also a military veteran, Navy,
yep.
so he knows
So
everything. He knows
the
everything about that.
the backstory on that is my dad actually coined that term as a pilot. It stuck, and Janet is actually in my mother's name. He coined that acronym after my mom.
That's fucking amazing. So
I know.
here on this show, you're telling us that the J.A.N.E.T flights, the infamous J.A.N.E.T flights to Area 51,
Mhm.
the ones that have taken allegedly people of high clearance levels, test pilots, people that have basically shaped our aeronautics program for the last 70 years.
Right.
Everything we've ever tested, all the way from possible, um, reverse engineer craft that we've got. It's almost hard to say, but like reverse engineer craft that we found from wreckages and things like that.
Mhm.
Your father would take these people, was the sole person, well, one of them, I'm sure, a team responsible for doing this, the best of the best that we have as far as pilots. And it just so happens that the J.A.N.E.T acronym for the plane ride we're talking about is an acronym because of your mother named Janet.
Yes. He coined that term.
Fucking bombshell.
He came up with just another non-existent terminal, threw it out there, and it actually just stuck. And people just started calling them the J.A.N.E.T flights.
That's incredible.
Right.
Allison says "Wawa Weewa" in Borat.
Yeah.
In Borat, speech, "Wawa Weewa." Look at King of the Castle, King of the Castle. So that no, seriously, that's a incredible thing that you don't come across that every day. And is that something that you disclose a lot? Is that like your go-to thing at parties? Because I feel like you wouldn't say that a whole lot, right? Like,
Only if it gets brought up.
got it.
Like I don't walk around saying, "Hey, this happened, this happened, this happened." But there's a younger guy at work who was talking to me the other day, and he realized that I just moved here from Vegas, and he got all Area 51 into his talks. I go, "Yeah,
Always.
my dad was a pilot out there." Oh my God, he flew to Area 51. Yeah. He flew the J.A.N.E.T flights. And I go, yeah, gonna blow your mind a little bit. Because he was so far into it. And I just told him that. And he's like, no fucking way. No fucking way. I'm like, way. Yeah. It's just my little bit of tie back into Vegas. That's my Vegas history. That it just worked out in the timeline that my family was there. My dad was doing that job. He happened to coin the term. It stuck. The media ran with it. It stuck. It's on YouTube. It was brought up at my dad. It was brought up at my dad's funeral.
Of course.
Literally.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that in itself is benign enough for it to happen. They can disclose that there are flights that go back and forth because it's so far away, blah, blah, blah. What they do there, can't really tell you, but it's all, paper pushing and pencil sharpening.
It is. Yeah. Nothing going on. Nothing to see here.
God damn it. Tell me how many floors it goes down. I know you know.
I don't know.
But there's got to be something more out there. And if we can speculate as far as that, before we go into kind of more of a visual medium here, because we're going to look at a couple of people like Professor Avi Loeb, who has potentially, he's a Harvard professor that has potentially found pieces of fragmented spaceship on the bottom of the ocean. So we have Avi Loeb. We're going to talk about David Grush and his claims. We're going to talk quickly about the Virginia event in 1997, which the Moment of Contact documentary has been based on. Have you seen that? Are you familiar with Virginia?
I am not, but I'm looking forward to the crash course.
Let's fucking do it.
I'm an open-minded dude. This is probably going to be 2 parts, right?
100%. Yeah, we're probably going to go. We're about 40 minutes in. We'll probably go about an hour and a half, an hour 45. If you want to do that, yeah.
I'm gonna hit one bathroom break in the middle of it, and I'm good.
No worries. Yeah, right. I have the perfect 1 minute. Can you drop a squirt in 30 seconds? Just grab a bottle.
A minute and 30 seconds.
Okay, fine.
Right.
We'll make it happen. So, have you heard about the Las Vegas incident that happened? Because you just left Las Vegas.
The recent one.
Yeah. And then you end up back in Omaha with our dear friends, the Married Couple podcast. And you also frequent theirs, right? So if you guys see the Married Couple podcast there, follow them because they're like 15 subscribers away from 100, and that's a big deal. We want to get them to 100. They're on episode 96. We have about 4 weeks to get them to 100, so 15 more followers. If you guys could please do that, that would be amazing. I am 15 followers. Imagine that, from 200. It's unbelievably hard to get YouTube subscribers. So if this is kind of the stuff you like, and you want me to do more videos that are not live but long form videos, kind of breaking stuff down like that, I talk about everything, aliens all the way to making fun of TikTok, the absurdity of today's human condition. So if you like that kind of stuff, and you're not subscribed yet, do that. Share it with a friend, and maybe we can all have a big party one day. Now let's get into it. So what do you know about the Las Vegas incident before I kind of break that down?
Only what I've seen in the videos of, I'm assuming you're talking about the most recent one where something fell. You could see it. I would think it was caught on police camera, or another video. Something dropped from the sky. And then a handful of locals called and said that there was something wandering around in their backyard.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was a shock to us. Obviously, I'm still in Las Vegas. So we were looking at that and we were like, holy shit, and it was the closest I've been, because it was in North Vegas. I live in the Southwest. However, it's one of the closest I've been able to be to something that I can actually chat about, something I can almost tangibly like go check out. Right. I even did a short on YouTube with depicting the actual house that was claimed, because I wanted to make sure it was real. Now, what really makes it interesting is that there is cops involved, and the cops saw from the body camera it's going to come down,
Mhm.
and then they actually see from the body cam that kind of either a shooting star. It looks like it's in free fall, so I'm not sure if that's something that would make a lot of sense, because it's not going to be a comet. It's kind of in free fall. It's
Right.
not coming through the atmosphere either. So it looks like it's already broken the atmosphere. So let's take a quick look at this. People were freaked out at their house, and they said that they swear that they saw 10-foot grayish green aliens with big red eyes and kind of a big mouth, a little different than the aliens that were found in Brazil, or allegedly seen in Brazil.
Right.
Those were smaller, brownish, oily, small mouth, big black eyes. So apparently there's a couple different ones according to
Yeah, but
people.
humans come in all shapes and sizes. Why couldn't aliens, or what we call
Absolutely.
aliens,
And then when you say,
beings?
just like you said, when we have 10 to the 20 planets, anything can be fucking anywhere. Are you telling me
Absolutely.
there isn't a fucking glowing worm 10 trillion miles away? Of course there is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, all right, let's check this out. And this is what's going on in Las Vegas.
It's a scene straight out of the X-Files.
That's unreal. I've never seen anything like it. What are they?
A family in Las Vegas insisting something is out there after allegedly having a close encounter of the third kind.
I swear to God, this is not a joke.
One witness calling 911 after they say an object fell out of the sky and landed in their backyard.
They're like 9 foot, 10 foot tall. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes.
The mysterious object that fell from the sky, even the officers apparently saw that. The green glow of the alleged UFO is seen on this newly released.
See, that doesn't look like it's a meteor, like it's an asteroid, like it's coming down from the sky, like in free fall, right?
Mm-mm.
This is in North Las Vegas, so it's right by my brother. Actually, like he's in the same neighborhood,
Yeah.
the Centennial kind of like Sky Canyon area. You know it,
Yeah. I know
and
well.
yeah, and yeah, body cam footage. And I feel like the only reason that we're really taking this seriously at all is because cops were involved that actually saw it too. Because I feel like any other time they'd be like, "Yeah, sure you did, buddy. Go back to bed. How many of you had?" You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Smoke
yeah,
another J.
since they legalized weed, you guys are crazy, you know?
Right.
But it's not that, it could be a cop that believes, it could be a cop that um has seen shit before. Who knows? Maybe it's an enlightened cop that's actually down to help.
Right.
But but he's really trying to get to the bottom of this mystery. So it's not just like, yeah, get back inside, you freak.
So let me throw this out there. When you actually see this video, here's one thing that I can throw out there as perspective.
Mhm.
Me and my dad were driving right outside the Air Force Base, headed home. One evening, it was dark out, and out of nowhere, it looked like an asteroid. It was actually a satellite burning up through the atmosphere. But as you come through the atmosphere, and if you're space junk, if you're an asteroid, if you're something coming back, you have a long trail behind you. Like you got a tail. This doesn't have that weird.
Yeah, think Haley's Comet, right? Like it has
Right.
a long
Yes.
of debris falling off of it burning up in the atmosphere as it comes down.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is
doesn't
more like
have
a
that.
feather.
It's floating nicely down,
Yeah. Okay.
almost in a controlled float.
Let's check out the rest of this video and kind of react to it on the other side. Let's see. Fall out of the sky. If these people are lying, they kind of need an Oscar. And I want you to remember this piece, because when we talk about Virginia, Brazil, the same thing. These people
Right.
are extremely credible.
body camera footage.
I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star. Then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
So when that 911 call came in, less than an hour later, police were ready to believe it.
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
Because I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard? Or?
But after a brief investigation of the yard, officers closed the case as unfounded.
If those 9 foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
What a dick. He's like,
I know.
Don't call me.
But you know what?
What am I going to do? I
love the whole scope that his after an investigation, the bro pointed a flashlight in the backyard. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't see anything. I'm getting out
Yeah.
of here.
Damn. That's a great job, Gumshoe. You know,
Right.
like holy shit. Yeah,
Right.
fucking Dick Tracy over here. No, but I mean, they're doing what they can do. You know, Vegas.
I
I've had nothing but good interactions with the Vegas cops. They seem to be pretty cool. However, to get an open-minded one, that's a little bit different. Like everyone's different on those kind of issues. There's
Right.
religion, there's all types of stuff. Um, and then there's Ring doorbell. There's a Ring doorbell video of the sound we made. It made when it hit. Oh shit! Well, I did not find it on the internet. So there's corroborating evidence, kind of like again the Virginia incident, where a lot of different people on different sides of the issue are seeing it and corroborating it. The cops saw the lights, then the ring was heard through the door, the crash, and then beings were seen. So it's like a facet thing. It's not just like I see something in my backyard. That seems less credible. But the fact that there was an official involved, I think that was the difference here. If not, it would have been a non-issue.
Right.
Unless it was like eating someone. In which case,
It's check for the report of missing cats in the area.
yeah, just cats getting sucked up and rats and shit.
Oh fuck! I crashed. Let me grab a cat, grab a snack. I'm out here.
Yeah,
They have their Uber buddy come in with their headlights off this time, pick them up, and they're out.
that's it. And
You never
let me,
know.
let me tell you, there is. I've always thought about there's this thing I've always speculated about, like how as I go through this video, how would we speak to them if let's say that's real, and let's say that they actually fall, and let's say that we're able to contact them. How would you approach them? How if you were in charge of, I don't know,
Negotiations or
department
first contact or
yeah,
asking questions.
the federal first contact commission, and you're the head of it. How would you approach the craft? How would you try to communicate with this is thinking that they can hear audibly, that they can understand words. How would that happen in your mind? Flags?
It would be something totally stupid. I'd probably
Y'all smoke? It's the way we meet anybody, right? Yeah. They grab it, they're like, of course.
Well, man, I got two more for your buddies. I got
You could have just they speak English, like you could have just asked me if I
Hey, it's cool, man. Come on, sit down.
You don't think I traveled galactically to come fucking see you and I didn't learn your language? You asked me.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do.
No.
I literally, I couldn't just sit down and be like, all right, let's deep dive, guys.
Right.
You understand me?
And at the same
Tell me
time,
what you're doing here. What are you doing here?
yeah, you'd have to make it a whole like they would have to somehow tell you like their whole lineage to be able to understand if they even have like the capacity to like what we know as words is something that they might not even like they're so far past that, or maybe they're way before it, or they never needed language. Maybe it's all telepathic, but that could be it. And will we know?
But if they're
Like,
doing the stuff, if they have these crafts, if they have this advanced technology, if they have all these resources that are completely different than ours, odds are that their communication systems, that they're probably just not, speaking Spanish or speaking English, or they probably, if they're so advanced in their means of travel, their means of propulsion, their means of everything, they're probably way more advanced than that. It might be telepathically, could be
extra dimensional
wavelengths, frequencies.
Yeah,
they could be just on different frequencies. Like
that's why I wanted to ask that question.
Radio waves kind of blow a simple guy's mind.
Yeah, dude, come on.
Like I go boop boop and change the channel, and now I hear totally different sounds. How the fuck does that get on my fucking radio?
Do you mean I can heat up a plate of food in 30 seconds? You crazy?
Yeah,
you crazy. But these are all fantastical things that we couldn't even fathom, right? Like just even 30, 40 years ago, but not. Right. We're talking about eons and eons. Like, how would we even think to be kind of like AI, right? I think Elon Musk put it in a good way. AI, there's going to come a point where AI is going to be so far ahead of us that right now it's using us to farm information and like,
right.
grab and spit back out kind of, you know, all these equations
learning.
in words, right? It's learning from
It's
us.
learning.
It's going to be so far ahead of us at one point
Mhm.
that it's going to be
It's going to have all our knowledge built
it's
in.
patronized. It's going to be it's like I have to talk to these ants. It's basic. It's not like it's not going to be like we're gorillas and they're humans, and that's how. No, the gap is going to be like so far
Right.
ahead that we're not even going to be able to fathom even how to speak to them.
And
They're
that's
gonna
fucking
they're probably
spooky.
gonna have to hire people to be able to translate what they're saying to us because we're not
That's
going to get it.
fucking spooky.
Yeah.
It's spooky. But see but then at what point do they become the aliens?
Maybe they are the aliens. Maybe the aliens are talking through us through AI.
Maybe.
Let's put a pin in that. Let's take an I am Dave comment. What's going on, the married couple?
Hey guys, I am Dave. Great show so far. Hey, I don't tell a lot of people this, but literally 30 years ago, I was driving with my my girlfriend at the time. Yeah, I'm old. Down by Bellevue, down by Offutt Air Force Base, and saw it was a freaking UFO. I'm telling you right now. It wasn't any sort of plane that anybody can use, and here's why. It was sparkling, and it was floating, and then it literally shot out of the sky northwest in an upwards position at about, I don't know, 1,000 miles an hour. There was actually 4 people in the van when we were traveling, and we all looked at each other like, what the hell did we just see? And yeah, you can't explain that. It was nothing man-made at the time. Again, 30 years ago.
So what did it look like? I'd love to know a little bit more about what that looked like, Dave. Send another message or write it there in the comments. Let us know what. So I know it's nothing man-made, but it may be something you can correlate it to, because if it looks like the stuff that we're looking at today, we're looking at tiny little tic tacs going like this. I did a YouTube short and a reel with a couple of pieces of evidence where people were looking outside of a plane, and I've never seen anything move like that. It just moved directions like I've never seen. When they did the Nimitz, are you familiar with the 2004 Nimitz, Lieutenant David Fravor?
Right.
Incident, right? So they saw it off the coast of San Diego, and there was a ball, and it was going around. And it's a tic tac kind of a thing where it would go about 60,000 miles an hour, and then it would go up to like 40,000 feet, and then drop down to 5 feet, and then just like skim across. It was ridiculous. I could never really see that until it was animated, and that gimbal footage never looked. I get what I'm looking at, but it's not what you can really discern what it actually can do. You know,
Right.
what it looks like. So, but I did put up something. I mean, I'm not infallible. It could be fake. You know, I don't know, but it's something that I found. It's unbelievable. I'll try to play it now. What I want to do here is this. Everybody, he's in a really weird kind of a palsy face here, but this is this is Dr. Stephen Greer. If you know about this guy in 1992. Apologies. Let's give you the real thing. So Stephen Greer, right? He's a ufologist, but he's really an emergency medical doctor. So he was actual physician for a long time in emergency medicine. He's from North Carolina. When he was a kid, he saw a flying object close to where he lived, and he was around 8 years old. And from then, he kind of believed. And then at 35, he had another experience. So he was trained. There's a couple facets to him. Of course, there's the scientific side because the man's a doctor, but at the same time, you're looking at somebody who is studied transcendental meditation. So aside from being a scientist, he's also kind of into the new agey kind of stuff too. So he's all about, you know, which is not a bad thing, greeting these UFOs or these extraterrestrials in peace and not militarizing anything, to not get ahead of ourselves and try to kill them before they even talk to us, because I feel like that's kind of the way we are as a warlike people.
Absolutely.
Right. So he's the founder of the study for extraterrestrial intelligence called CSETI. He found that in 1990, and he has, I mean, he's come up with a huge amount of disclosure effort to be able to bring this to the DoD, the DOJ, Congress, you know, to be able to actually look into what our spending is, all these deep black projects. and he founded the Disclosure Project, which is the goal is to make everything public and kind of give everyone the keys to the castle. Because ultimately, what we're talking about here is propulsion systems and getting rid of the petrodollar, right? So the petrodollar is what makes the world churn. However, if we were to find some 0 point energy, if we were to find some kind of propulsion system where that makes it a thing of the past, yes, there would be some losers like Exxon, BP, Shell, things like that. However, it would just propel us, no pun intended, into an age that we couldn't even imagine, right? There would be no famine. There would be no need for these things. Economies would collapse, I think, because if we're not buying what people are selling, because suddenly this is not the way the world is run anymore, there is going to be some growing pains. But like everything in the world, I'm sure the printing press was something somebody wanted to suppress, but here we are, right? So let's go to Dr. Stephen Greer. Funny face, but he's got a lot. So this is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, his name is Michael Herrera, and I want to go into, this is a forum they had, I believe it was June 12th, right? Monday, June 12th, 2023. It was a symposium that they had in DC as a second part of a disclosure effort coming, via Dr. Stephen Greer and all his funding. This guy has lost about $12 million of personal wealth just looking into this shit, because he just could have been a doctor.
Made good money,
right? But for some reason, he felt it he had to take it upon himself to be able to save us from ourselves, really. So let's take a look at Stephen Greer, and he's going to introduce, I believe, Michael Herrera. He was in the Marines, and he's going to give us a story on disclosure. And this is the first time. This is the whistleblower coming forward this month. Let's take a look at this. Sorry.
It would take hours, but I want to give you a sense that this is really the tip of the iceberg. These represent 0.5% of the Disclosure Project witness list. So the next gentleman I'd like to introduce has become a figure of great support for us. He's a Marine who in 2009 in Indonesia had a direct encounter with one of the man-made operations, and he is Michael Herrera. He has very courageously come forward. The first time he contacted me, because I know of these sort of operations that he came across on his mission, I told him that every single person I knew who knew about what he had seen had not lived to tell this story. He is enormously courageous. Thank you, and welcome to Michael Herrera.
I kind of want to say before, so we can set it up a little bit better. What he's about to talk about is really heavy shit, because people ultimately have died for this, and if it's something that our own government is hiding from us, there's blood on their hands. There's also secret trades behind closed doors, vis-a-vis drug trade, human trafficking, smuggling, anything that we can get our hands on. And I believe that the CIA has something to do with this. Ultimately, I believe that some high-level three-letter agencies also have some dark parts of it. I'm not saying all of it, some dark parts of it that have, their hands in some grubby shit, so they can continue this.
They very well could be. Not
to mention, we can't account for about $3 trillion in the Pentagon budget, and
that's a lot of taxpayer dollars.
The five failed audits. So again, when you compound all of these things with our lack of faith in the federal government and the fact that they've been hiding this for so long, this now becomes a national threat, not knowing about it, because now there's a deep black budget that Congress doesn't control. We don't know where the fuck it goes, and it could be nefarious or not. So that's not the way we built the Constitution. That's not the way the United States is built upon. It's a fun story when you think about, I wonder if you have aliens. But this story is going to knock your fucking socks off, because now you realize the depths of what the government can do and what they can be responsible for nefariously. So sorry, that was a little long, but I really wanted to set that up, because there's some fucking bombshell shit here.
Well, Thank you all for being here. What I'm about to tell you hasn't been something that I've disclosed until recently in the help of Dr. Greer, among other people, so I appreciate your help with this. In 2009, my unit, which was most degraded infantry battalion in the entire Marine Corps, which was 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, was called in to do humanitarian assistance operations out in the Philippines, which was Operation Quetzana, which we were attached to the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, which conducts maritime operations all throughout Southeast Asia, in conjunction with the 7th Naval Fleet, which houses one landing helo deck, or LHD, among LPDs, which is what I was on, called a USS Denver. Ironically, that's where I'm from, so kind of felt like home. Now, during that operation in Quetzana in the Philippines, they had actually heard that a tsunami and earthquake hit the western part of Sumatra, which is western Indonesia, Padang City more specifically. Out of all the ships in the 7th Fleet, the ship I was on was the only one that was routed to that location, which was oddly strange, but then again, this is my first humanitarian operation, so I don't know the logistics of it, but the skipper of the ship would probably know that information. So this happened September 30th. We ended up getting called and dropped anchor around October 8th. We are briefed in the wardroom, which is the officers' mess, where they eat like their cafeteria per se. We're briefed that there is some of President Obama's family members that are present on either in the city or somewhere near there. They had a SEAL platoon that was ready to go to retrieve those people. Us knowing well that Indonesia is also the 2nd largest terrorist capital where they train these guys, and they'll send them up to whatever theater of operation where anybody wants a piece of the United States, they ship them up to go handle it. So we know that well, and we were then briefed that we were going to be armed during this operation, just to also provide security for the transportation coming to basically drop off medical supplies, sheltering items, food, purified water, things like that.
Can we take a moment to acknowledge the legitness of this guy? This guy, I don't know how much more legit you can be. So for anybody out there saying like this is bullshit, this is, or even more to the credit of the people who say it's just us, because what he's about to show is pretty crazy, and his account is amazing. But I just want to say, like, there's no impetus for this person to lie, to ruin his life, to be able to put everyone that he's ever known in danger, just to let this go, or to lie about this to Congress, because all these papers have been given to Congress now.
And here's the thing. There's plenty of people that could confirm this.
752 just under Stephen Greer's watch.
They might not come forward and do it, but there's hundreds and hundreds of people that were attached to the 93rd unit that he was attached to, and can say, we were there. We were there at that time. We got briefed on this. Yes, that happened. Yes, this happened. Same way if you try to tell me, oh, you weren't in the Air Force, or you try to tell I am Dave, you weren't in the Navy. Now I can tell you plenty of people that was there exactly same time. I could tell you exactly what was going on.
Like you remember the movie Coming to America?
Yes.
He's like, where were you at? Ding dang, ding dang. He's like, oh yeah, I was out there by ding dang, bing dang. Like you can't fake that shit. Either you were in or you're not fucking in.
Right.
Let's take a pause here. I want to make sure to play Rocksteady's message before it gets a little stale, and then we'll go back to Michael Herrera.
I've got to say that my experience with kind of mental telepathy was the time that I did DMT, and I know it sounds strange, but it really gave me a proper insight to what it would be like, because with my encounter, it's like I came across this extraterrestrial being, right, and it was communicating with me like telepathically, and as it was happening, it was in his language, and I couldn't believe that I could understand. At the time, I'm going, holy shit, I'm understanding him, and that's not what I thought it would seem like with mental telepathy communication, but it was. It's really hard to describe. I believe that, obviously DMT is that chemical gateway, and there may have been an encounter. I don't know, but it certainly gave me a really good insight to what I never thought what it would be like to communicate like that. It was strange.
I thought for a moment that was going to be a joke, because we've never not made a joke every time we've ever spoken. So And,
Right.
and I've known you for 2 years straight, and we did a podcast every week, so and everything was a constant joke. But I love the fact that that was a real thing. And yeah, I think DMT will totally fucking connect you if you start to believe. Let me answer this question really quick. Hey, J-Nunya, first of all,
Hi,
this is time to
Lisa.
say hello. And then AC, where to leave a voice message? You leave a voice message at the Midnight Media IG, just like you do for the married couple, but just do it over on ours here on Midnight Media _TV, and you can leave a voice message that goes for anybody in the crowd. If you want to type in a question, or if you want to actually have us hear your delicious voice, we're here to do both. So yeah, let's do that. Boom, awesome. And then, oh, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. What were we talking about? As far as
His legitness.
his legitness, right?
Yeah.
So, and the DMT thing. Sorry, the DMT thing for Rocksteady. I
Yes.
believe that once we all understand and believe that we are all one, we're all one mind. Let me quote the great Maynard James Keenan and say, "We are all one mind, capable of all that's imagined and all conceivable." And once you realize that we're all connected through a string of invariable energy that we cannot escape, and we are just eternal beings encapsulated in this body at this moment in time, I think that is what DMT is. It realizes that we are just one mind and we're capable of so much. Sorry.
It's perspective.
Yeah. So, okay. Sorry, Michael Herrera. So let's get back to Michael Herrera. Super credible source, right? He's disclosing right now what's going on. Obviously, I stopped that because I wanted to make sure that, holy shit, Lisa. Okay. Oh, okay. I see your one message. I thought you left me 4 messages. I'll play it right now, right before we get into Michael Herrera, and then he's gonna disclose what his Marine experience was in 2009 in Indonesia.
Right.
Hey, I get to leave a message.
Woo!
Hey, hey Nunya. Hey
Hi,
AC. Good to see you, Nunya. Missed
Thank
you.
you.
And yeah, hey, I'm here having an early lunch and listening to you guys and kind of multitasking by watching old episodes of Law and Order SVU.
Oh, the best.
Yes.
There you go.
I am here. Don't know what you're talking about, but I thought I'd leave a voice message.
Thank you, love. Well, welcome to the show. We've been at it for about an hour
Yep.
now, but we're talking about UAPs and aliens and kind of the disclosure thing that's going on lately. Thank you
Yep.
for leaving a message. Clap it up, everybody. As far as I know, Lisa, and let us know if that's true, Lisa finished her last round of radiation.
Not a girl.
Not a girl.
Not a girl.
Happy to do that. And yes, Allison is right. Leave a message on Midnight Media on Instagram, and we can hear your lovely voices. Back to Michael Herrera. The dude is a stud.
Right.
There's no question that this guy's legit, and what he's about to pop off is serious.
So they ended up selecting certain Marines to go ahead and do this. We were only in sticks of six Marines, so it had NCOs on top of other Marines to help with that. So we again boarded CH-53 Super Stallions, which are gigantic helicopters that are roughly 100 feet long. I love the design of them. It's my personal favorite. But we ended up boarding this on the ship, and we flew to the southwestern part of the city, which is Padang. Looked a lot different through satellite imagery that I've recently seen. Back then is a lot different, especially because most of it was decimated, on fire, rubble, flooded, you name it, basically the worst kind of scenario you could ever see. From then, once we touched down on this landing strip, it took probably about 2 minutes. And then again, the pilots got radio confirmation to go ahead and drop us into certain parts. So we again dropped to a hasty LZ, which took probably about 6-7 minutes to fly to from that position. And we dropped to a hasty LZ. We got off the bird, and what we were instructed to do at that point through the briefing was to push to a high ground at least to get better observation. As a Marine, the tactical advantage that you get from having a observation from a top point is you see everything clearly. You could also, coordinate from there. At that time, we had did a tactical column, which we were able to get eyes on pretty much everything, especially with 6 Marines. So we have the effective communication at that point. If we need to engage, we can properly do it within the amount of ammunition we've got, as well as the weapons that we got, which were only M16A4s. So at that point, we decided to push forward. We trekked up about 300 meters. At this time, I have a Panasonic camera that has the ability to take photographs. It has a ability to take videos, obviously. When we got to this high point, I was taking video camera, and I had actually turned to the north, which just kind of slopes down. And right there was something that stuck out like a sore thumb, especially with jungle terrain, things like that, vegetation, very green stuff, was something that stuck out so well. It's always going to be basically imprisoned in my mind for the rest of my life, and it has been for 14 years, was something that was rotating, and it was transitioning between colors like a light matte gray, as well as a dark matte black. So in between, that's what it kept, and it was very smooth. We had all looked at each other as we got online, and we decided to investigate. The further thing I want to say is that I actually took pictures and video of this before we actually trucked down. We had a dump pouch where we basically, if we expend ammunition, we want to retain our magazines, so we put those there. So I dropped my camera in there, and we decided to go down. We didn't have any communications, which was weird, and that was a very odd thing, and it's something that either could have been good that we didn't, or it could have been something that could have been very bad. And it just however you want to look at that. Once we got down this slope, we were approximately 150 meters away from this craft. When we all got to the point where we could see it, just like behind here, again, Mr. Schratt, phenomenal job. You can see that the craft here actually was roughly about 300 feet. And the reason why I know this is because you could fit 3 of the helicopters that we flew in on underneath this craft. It was rotating a clockwise motion. The panels here that you see, the black ones, at least 3 of them, was like a Vanta black, very dark. I have no idea what that was. On the very top, there was like a pyramid structure that you could see the shadowing of it, which would elicit that was a pyramid structure. And it had an audible hum to it, kind of like a guitar amp if you were to unplug that, or like a transformer. It's very audible. If I was to hear that sound again, I could tell you, okay, it's probably this thing or something similar to that. It's very distinct. And the way that it was floating, which was about 15, 20 feet off the ground, it was kind of a very eerie thing to see because I've never seen anything like that in my life. When we got up to that point, we were then intercepted by a team of soldiers or rogue military force, if you will. The most concerning thing about this is they all had American dialects. They had American gear. They had OTVs, black. They had black camouflage. They had very similar setups to what we have, but more high speed, something what you would see special operation groups these days have. They had no insignias on. They had no ranks. They had nothing that would signify who they were. They had black ball caps. They had M4A4s that were equipped with ACOGs, which was a step up from what we were currently issued, as well as PEC-16 IR illumination devices that you use for night vision and night patrols, things like that. So we were engaged. We had 8 of them put the drop on us. You could audibly hear them blow the safety selectors off. They basically started screaming at us, telling us what we were doing. We were not allowed to be there. Who were we with? What were we doing there? Threatened that they could kill us right then and there. We could get lost in the jungle. They could throw us out of a helicopter if they needed to. It was very nerve-wracking at that point, especially looking to my fellow Marines and seeing the reactions on their faces too. We were all freaking scared, to say none the less. So with that being said, each Marine was then patted down along with myself. We had our weapons taken from us. They were basically cleared in condition 4, which means they had no round chamber, no magazine in. They dumped our magazines out of our mag pouches as well onto the deck. And then again, because of Marine Corps order, how things are with that, we were told to keep our military ID in our left breast pocket. So they knew that. They asked for our military identification. We gave it to them, obviously, because they have guns in our face. So provided that to them. They had something that looked like modern day smartphones, but this is 2009, so it's not really as high tech compared to obviously today. So they took some pictures of our military ID, and then they had something that reminded me of a BAT system, which is a biometrics tracking system that we would use. This is for insurgents or anything like that. It would take fingerprints, it would take retina scans, it would take pictures of them and document them. So if there was other militaries that were coming to relieve our post, they would actually have this information too to know who they are dealing with. That's what it reminded me of, and I had trouble scanning the IDs. As this is going on, we're going back between these guys as well as what's going on in the background. At that time, there was 4 of these trucks, which were F-350s. They were up armored. They were pretty beefy. They had weapon cases that I've seen before because of something that we've actually loaded weapons into. They had 2 of them that were in the back of each truck. They also had these containers that was illustrated right here, which come to find out through recent revelations from yesterday from somebody who came forward to Dr. Greer. I don't know who they are, but what they had told him and what he has told me is that this gentleman knows exactly what these were used for, because they had like a cylinder on the front, which is either for oxygen or what I hypothesized was for vacuum sealing, which lead me to suspect that they were smuggling narcotics or drugs. Come to find out it's more disturbing than that. This gentleman has firsthand account with this and says that it was for people. It's very disheartening, especially because that part of the world have already gotten ravaged, and it's something that is very hard to see right now because of what I've witnessed, and it's very disheartening. And this is why I'm up here. So they loaded these onto this platform that you can see right there, and as I got up there, like I said, I was going back and forth. These guys are still searching our stuff. They're still, pointing their weapons at us. And after the last 2 trucks that I saw that actually got into that platform unloaded, they had 4 guys in each truck that would unload everything. However they did it, I can't tell you because, again, I was focused on this as well. And these trucks drove off. As that happened, this platform actually rose up off the ground itself. The top part of the craft actually met it down in the middle like this, and it formed into one solid piece. It floated right above the tree line. As soon as it was able to break that tree line, it actually had on the corners of each of these, which was an octagonal shape craft, by the way, on each corner it emanated a light. It was either red, yellow, green, or blue. Only those 4 colors I can distinctly remember. It didn't make any additional high-pitched sounds when it rose up. Once it got past that tree line, it shot over to the left, basically where the ocean was, at so fast, I would estimate probably 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles an hour instantaneous like that. There was no rotor wash, no exhaust that would disturb the trees, vegetation. The coconuts that were on these trees were not even touched. It produced no sonic boom. This thing was so fast. So as that happened, they basically had told us to turn around. As we turned around,
I didn't want to stop this. I know it's gone a little long, and of course you guys can watch this. I didn't want to stop this because this testimony is so compelling. And this man, when he says disheartening, he's really telling you that my fucking country broke my heart. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
My country broke my heart. I well up a little bit because I can see, like, this guy probably has a tough time really saying how he feels, feelings, right? He's a tough guy.
Right.
He's seen things that I couldn't possibly imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell, if you read between the lines, you can see this man is broken because his country, he saw other people speaking English, American dialects, with better weapons, with ACOGs, with M4s that are better than what he has, better fatigues, guarding something that he didn't know about, where he thought he was protecting his country. Are those guys the ones that are really protecting the country from the military?
Right.
Would they have shot those guys?
Or are they just straight backdooring it because they've got that unlimited, how many trillions of dollars of unaccounted for money?
There's that, but also he was very disheartened by the fact that there was a slave trade. There was basically a people trade,
right?
In this part of the country in Indonesia that was ravaged already in 2009. There's people being trafficked, and we're trying to save this place, and you are coming in to what? Rape it of its resources, its people. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's fucked up because you know what? I would love to get to know that that's an amazing piece of technology that hovers off of a craft. It's an octagonal UFO that hovers off of a platform and goes 5,000 miles an hour without disturbing a coconut. I would like to get to know that. I would like to understand what that is. It's fascinating, but now it's tainted because it's also tied to human trafficking, drugs, smuggling, black operatives that are so deep black Delta fucking forces that they have better shit than our military does, and they're willing to put the drop on them.
Here's the thing. Let me tell you this, AC. Even when I joined the military, and I was only military light, right? I was in the Air Force. It's not like I was a pilot. I was anything. I was there. I was going to get my honorable discharge. I did all the basic training I did. But let me tell you, in basic training, they pump you full of fucking red, white, and blue. They will show you every fucking patriotic video and make you feel like you are the fucking last line of defense.
Superheroes.
Everything that's going to fucking go on. You are serving your country. They literally pump you full of red, white, and blue. You can't avoid it. They do it in basic training. Some people get emotional about it. Some people are like, whatever, it's a job. It's fine. But they do their best. That's why they shave everybody's head. That's why they put you all in the same uniform.
Yeah.
That's why you're forced to sleep all in the same room.
Right.
There ain't nobody special here.
Right.
But guess what? We're going to pump you full of red, white, and blue tomorrow. And you're going to come out feeling proud, ready to fucking get your dig on. Do what you got to do.
And lay down your life if you have to. And
absolutely.
And to a certain extent, there's nothing wrong with patriotism, swelling up with pride, wanting to serve your country, giving everything you have to something that you love so much, a land that has given you so much. God knows that I am number one for that.
I'm a genealogy nerd. My family's been in this country for 250 years, 300 years.
Imagine that.
Even through settling the West. I mean, it's red, white, and blue, baby. It's the way it is.
How many in your family had to lay down their lives and fought and died just throughout the 250 years to be able to be where we are now?
Enough. Enough.
Of course. And
Literally.
some give more than others. And I have to, I thank you, because sometimes some families, I'm sorry, everybody does their part. If you join the military, if you join, everywhere, from the Navy to the Coast Guard, all the way, if you're a cop or a fireman, if you're giving that kind of civil service, my hat's off to you. You're fantastic. Some families have just given more in blood, have paid more blood sacrifice. Now, this is disheartening. I'll use his word, disheartening, because look where the fuck we are. Look at this. So we have a military above a military that's willing to kill our military to keep a secret to what? Smuggle drugs.
That's what bothers me, is the fact that there are back levels to this game. And there's ones that they just keep the American public naive on. You're never going to hear nothing more than rumor on a lot of this stuff, because they just want you dumb and uninformed.
Complacent, working.
Vote. They want you to be distracted by gas prices.
Of course.
They want you to pump into the oil game. There's a whole political side to it, but there is a whole back culture. There are levels to how deep it can get behind what the American public gets to see. That's why a lot of times when stories like this one, for example, come out, they sound so far-fetched. Well, that could never happen. Really? Could it not? Could it not?
Do you know why we can't believe it? Because we don't know, as people who have worked their whole lives, don't come from money, exceptional wealth, like things, fuck you money, like shit, like I can buy and sell you.
I ain't a billionaire, son.
Right. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can literally kill you and I won't go to jail for more than a year, those kind of people. Because of those people, we just don't, it's all dirty, and it's given an air of like everyone can be bought, just like we feel like today with corporations. We know that when we talk to someone or if we have to deal with something, it's all corporations that are behind it, and we kind of put that veil and kind of just trudge along our day. But we realize that BlackRock, Vanguard, like 3 companies own the world, right? So even when Fox News and CNN battle, it's the same 2 fucking people, because the same fucking umbrella company owns them both. So it's all
distraction, smoke and mirrors, smoke and mirrors.
However, when people say that it's a distraction, and we'll touch upon this subject, and then because we literally have maybe another 30 minutes left, and we're gonna call it, and then there might be a part 2 and 3. So if you're free next week, I'd like to knock this out in sequential order if you're good.
Let's do it.
Yeah, cool. So for right now, let's go. Yeah, go for it.
My back teeth are floating. I've got to go hit the restroom.
Go for it, dude. Turn off your camera. We're gonna give people just a moment. Everybody can stretch their legs as well. We'll be right back.
Anybody needs a smoke break, go grab something, grab a beer. I'll be back.
See you back in 5 or 6.
You got it.
All right. Guys, we'll be right back. I'm just gonna take a quick one, and we shall be back. All right. While we wait for them, what's going on, everybody? If you guys want to send me a message, now's the time. Let's check the chat here. We've never done an intermission here at Midnight Media, so that's a new one. Hope everybody's doing good. All right, we're going to move into David Grush now, which is the newest whistleblower. We're going to have to turn this into a couple parts because, you know, people work and stuff. So I think an hour and 45 is pretty good to digest all this stuff. It's a lot of shit, a lot of different perspectives as well. And man, thanks Rocksteady for sharing that incredible insight. Oh man, he forgot to mute it. There he is. There he is. There he is.
There
he is. You gotta mute the roadcaster. I heard you peeing. No, I'm kidding.
Wouldn't surprise me.
So yeah. So I was letting these guys know that we're gonna go into David Grush now. David Grush is the newest guy, right? So we'll use this last bit of the first episode of this series to get into David Grush, because I know that that's a big topic right now, and what the guy's been sharing. And another guy who is super credible, right? A guy who you can no longer say, for example, let's move the goalpost one more time, right? I think skeptics had the goalpost of, well, show me a picture. Here's a picture. Okay. Well, show me a video. All right. Well, here's a video. All right. Well, show me an eyewitness. Okay. Here's an eyewitness. All right. Well, show me a military eyewitness. Okay. Here's a military eyewitness. And the goalposts keep moving, and much short of just landing on the fucking White House lawn and coming out and shaking hands with Biden. What are we to think about all this? But this person cannot be discredited, just like Michael Herrera. That guy's the real deal. You know, if he is paid to say all that, he's an incredible actor that deserves all the Oscars in the world. So do these people. So let's go. This is going to be shocking to some. I'm sure you guys have seen it already on the news, but this is the shit right here. And dude is, some people say his body language is a little bit off. Some body language experts saying that whenever he goes like this and kind of like puckers his mouth, that's a sign of like he's lying. I'll let you guys check it out yourself.
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No. When you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
That does sound fantastical. It sounds fantastical that we've actually retrieved bodies. Is that something that you would be open-minded to? Is that something that I know that you believe, you want to believe like I do, but is that something that you can even wrap your head around? The fact that we're keeping.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think that's far-fetched. I really don't. I mean, they're keeping the public in, regardless of whether it's UFOs, regardless of whether it's military secrets, they're only going to let you know what they want to let you know.
Right.
Period. So why would this be so far-fetched that it couldn't have happened? It's not that far-fetched. It's just not.
It's not. If you have that kind of, it's not. Think about it. Some people are skeptical and say like this is just a distraction. I don't see anything less. I'm not distracted from the Bidens being corrupt. I'm not distracted from what's going on with Trump. I'm not distracted from
No.
the political landscape,
No.
how many Democrats and Republicans are running. All of that is in the open. Corruption's out in the open. Nothing is being distracted from. I can walk and chew gum at the same time, and I can, disseminate information as fantastical as it is, because, there's some people who just won't accept it. Now, there's a whole thing I want to talk about, probably part 2 or 3, which is the religious aspect and what that all means. But in the meantime, let's figure out who this guy is. So basically this month, I mean, this is fresh off the presses, right? So he's a United States Air Force officer, former intelligence official. His name is David Grush. He was promoted by journalists Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal and Ross Coulthart. These guys really wanted the story to come out, and he came out on News Nation for whatever reason. I believe that maybe they're going for like a unbiased kind of a take. Plus, the corporate media is not going to really run with it unless they really have to, because they're just going to protect the corporations, right? That's what they're behind. Endless Wars, Raytheon, and Lockheed Martin. Oh, cool. Oh, I think I just did that, Dave. Dave sent me a message. I'm not sure if I played that message yet. Did I? Let's see. But yeah, let's finish up with him, and I'll go to Dave's message. So, so the U.S. government maintains that we don't have, right? It's kind of secretive on the retrieval program that we have, but this guy actually worked on it. He claims that he saw documents that are reporting that Benito Mussolini's government recovered a non-human spacecraft that the Vatican and Five Eyes assisted. So the Five Eyes is the English-speaking countries. So that's going to be Canada, New Zealand, Australia, United Kingdom, and the United States. Right.
Gotcha.
And these are the gatekeepers, apparently, of, what this means: retrievals, dissemination of information, all that kind of stuff. So this guy is the real deal. And I say that because he's a decorated combat officer within the U.S. Air Force during the war in Afghanistan. He's a veteran. He's a combat veteran. He was a veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, or the NGA, and the National Reconnaissance Office, the NRO. I know these are three-letter agencies that, for the most part, sometimes we don't trust, especially nowadays, and I get that. But at the same time, there has to be a line where we can disseminate if this person is the real deal, and there's no chinks in the armor. He's not Bob Lazar, for example, that we can say, oh, well, we can't find you at MIT. We can't find you, even though I believe the government has scrubbed that to make him look crazy. This guy is traceable, right? So bunch of non-disclosure agreements that he's broken, obviously. And he talked to this guy, Blumenthal, about what he saw. So that's a pretty shocking revelation on what David Grush has said and what we have. Let me see what David has to say about this.
Hey guys, I am Dave. Great show so far. Hey, I don't tell a lot of people this, but literally 30 years ago, I was.
He did it already. This is
we played that one.
Why did you send me that? You sent me that like so much later. It's like, hey, play this. Yeah, we already played it. I think you were behind the 8-ball a little bit. I thought that was a new one. But anyway, if you guys want to do that, you can. There's still time. But yeah, these are David Grush's claims. The fact that he's come out so brazenly and said this, some people are like, well, why would someone do this and risk completely discrediting his life, his pension, putting his family in danger? Are this man's a patriot, Edward Snowden level patriot, right? No, did we?
Yep.
Yeah. So this guy's in my opinion, whistleblowers also come out in all shapes and colors, and I'm sure some are disinformation campaigns, I'm sure. But this guy, for some reason, I feel like he has a little bit more traction. To continue that, now Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida, has come out and said, I actually made a YouTube short about that, how there are more guys like David Grush. So not only is this guy a high-level operative, he also has other people. We can discredit one guy as crazy. And the fact that he came out was really for his safety, right? So the more he was behind closed doors and nobody really knew who he was, it'd be a lot easier to off him. You know what I mean? So once it's out in the open, anything happens, you kind of know the motive behind that, right?
Right.
So that's where we are with that. He says that there are at least 12 intact crafts that we've retrieved. And the crazy part is Benito Mussolini's government back in Italy, even the Vatican is now in on it, which is, the Vatican to me is not a super holy place. I think a lot of crazy shit has happened, and they've covered up a lot of shit too. I just didn't think they were a part of aliens. Have you ever heard of like Catholic aliens?
No, I've barely heard of Methodist aliens.
Christian aliens. Well, if you think about it, they have to be in on it somehow because the Catholic Church, the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, I guess one and the same. They have to come up with some kind of an alibi because if they land on the White House lawn, how are they gonna explain God? I think a lot of religion would just stop right in its tracks. I think people would stop paying taxes. People would stop working. Economies would fall.
That's what I said earlier. I feel like religion was put into place to keep the sheep the sheep.
Mhm.
Keep the sheep the sheep. Keep them dumb.
Keep them working.
Keep them fearful. Keep them working. It's let them be grateful for what they have and don't question anything.
Right. And there's something always better. So make sure you do the best job here, repent, and then the pearly gates, if you've done a good enough job in whatever nondescript,
Right.
set
Right.
of rules that you have,
Right.
but somehow if you are a murderer and you murdered a bunch of people at the end of your life, you can just say, I repent. And, I guess you really have to mean it. But at that point, you can just absolve yourself, which is amazing. What an amazing, what a great deal.
Who's going to decide? Who's supposed to decide whether you really mean it or not?
The decider.
I really meant to kill those people. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I really repent. Okay, I guess you do.
Welcome, sir.
Dude's
Here's-
pretty serious. I
Walk-
guess he's pretty serious.
Walk through the galaxy here behind me.
Yes, right. Welcome to the stars.
So we have that. So we have David Grush, who has come out, and really we're gonna get into. I think next week we'll probably get into the religion part about it, but religion would stop. Really, if you're religious at all, and you realize that we have 20,000 religions across the world, only one of them is right. So there's 19,999 religions that are wrong. So
Have we actually decided one is right?
either one or zero is wrong. So there's no religion or there's one religion, right? Because we can't have
Could be
20,000 people winning. In order to be right, some people have to be wrong and therefore lose. Right?
Mhm.
There has to be consequences to being wrong. So I would imagine
So either it's a tie game at zero. Everybody's wrong.
either everybody's wrong and we're
Or
just
one person won.
energy that transfers into different ethereal planes and continues on, and we are eternal because we live in different energy pods throughout our life and different sacks of meat.
Could be.
Or Jesus came out of the fucking rock, and then 3 days later, and he kept on going.
Or he was a fucking alien.
Wow,
to keep the sheet in line.
Fucking blew my mind right. Or he was a fucking alien. How dare you say that? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, so we have another one. Let's look at Dr. Michael Salla, and we'll end up with that. And Dr. Michael Salla, hard one to say. I want you to kind of get to know these different characters and how they play this game. But he's been on a show that I watch a lot called Redacted, and Redacted is a show where the guy, Clayton Morris, he tries to get to the bottom of stuff. Center right, I would say, a little conspiratorial, but more like anti-establishment. What's going on today?
Right.
So Dr. Michael Salla, I'll bring him up as if he was really on the show. This is the gentleman here. And if you ever see him on the news, take a moment to listen to it. If this is a topic that really interests you, take a moment to listen to him, only because he's basically a pioneer in the development of exopolitics, which is the political study of key actors, institutions, and processes associated with extraterrestrial life. Kind of what we were talking about before. Is the guy, how are we going to talk to these people? Is the guy going to just bring out, 10 fucking guns and be like, fuck you, aliens, or are you going to welcome them? Or are you going to try to speak to them? And that's kind of where this guy falls into the equation. He has a lot of books, and Jesus, U.S. Navy secret space programs. He talks about Space Force. He speaks with a lot of confidence. So I think that helps a lot. I believe he hails from Australia. He is whatever he is. He's a hell of a mind, and he's fantastic.
Right.
But a fantastical ship.
And that the authors had to run it through the debrief, even though they had previously published in the New York Times similar stories with their kind of rigorous background checking of the witnesses. So, straight away you get a clue that there's some kind of different factions involved in this kind of issue concerning UFO crash retrievals and reverse engineering efforts. And I think what we saw with David Grush's testimony is that there is a faction of people behind him that are encouraging him to come forward to reveal this, because this is the time for the American public to know that these kinds of reverse engineering projects concerning retrieved extraterrestrial spacecraft that go all the way back. I mean, the earliest instance that I know of was Cape Girardeau in 1941 in Missouri. So that was the home state of President Harry Truman, and one of the factors that maybe led to him becoming president. So you go all that way back, and there have been that's 80 years of these crash retrievals happening in the United States and elsewhere around the world, with lots of people coming forward talking about the existence of these crash retrieval operations, and that there has been reverse engineering going on. And of course, that's been dismissed and ridiculed all that time. And so now to have such a senior bureaucrat such as David Grush coming forward saying, not only that this is going on, but also that there is a concerted effort by the Arrow office to just ignore that data. And you contrast what he revealed in terms of, these are extraterrestrial craft and even bodies are involved, with the response by Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick to the idea that some of the UAPs are extraterrestrial in origin, and just dismissing that outright. So I think we're talking about two different factions or groups within the government military industrial complex that have opposing positions about how much and when to reveal about these reverse engineering projects.
So yeah, that's Dr. Michael Salla. He's extremely learned. If he's lying, once again, I only present this as what the media is giving us, what we're able to speak about, what's out in the open. If this person is a bad actor, if this person, he has about 40 years of research behind him. If this guy's a bad actor, he's playing the longest game ever just to play a big hoax on us, or he's on the payroll of some people who just want to be, push this information, I guess. That's hard to believe for me, because this person seems like he's been waiting for this watershed moment, of okay, now I can finally not be laughed at, constantly ridiculed. These things are happening, and just like you said, people, for whatever reason, they decide to be sheep. They just won't look up. It's like it's like the Chicken Little, right? The sky's falling. It's like, fucking, is it really?
So let me throw this out there real quick, because I know we're getting wrap up and go to part 2.
Mhm.
So let me throw this out there. Humans have been humaning for thousands of years.
Mhm.
And the stuff we've learned has been it's been at a monkey's pace. We learned how to stick a stick in a hole, get the ants out, eat the ants, do this, start a fire. It's taken, then we went through the Bronze Age, then we went through the Iron Age, then we went through, and all of a sudden he says, hey, the first one that we recovered and started doing science on and doing stuff was in the 1940s. Well, guess what's happened in my lifetime? I went from playing with a fucking Nerf football to having a super mini pocket rocket in my pocket that I call a phone that does everything better than being a phone.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's an oracle.
Technology is going so fast right now. It's going so fast in medical. It's going so fast in military. It's going so fast in everything.
AI.
Is it that far-fetched that the government's keeping a secret that they fucking figured out something. Why all of a sudden did we get super smart in the last 70 years?
Because they can't put they can't put the genie back in the bottle. The genie's out of the bottle now.
But
And
where did that ball of technology come from? It took thousands of years to get to this point. Now all of a sudden it's exploded.
well, I believe maybe we've had it for a long time, and then the trickle of like some people say that our planes like the SR-71, that's a 70s plane, dude. That thing looks super futuristic to us. That's just like a fucking relic.
Right.
So imagine what's going on behind the scenes. The problem is we've been conditioned through movies, things like Top Gun is now showing the Dark Star. That thing has been around. It goes Mach 10. That thing's been around for fucking a long time.
It's all misinformation on how it's what they let you see.
And then we have these people who and then we have these new people who like will trickle this like, dude, we have this, whistleblower like David Grush, and then they have to either backpedal or now push a shitload more of disinformation to muddy the water.
Right.
But
so you forget about it.
This feels
Forget
different.
the timeline. But look at how fast technology has advanced. Literally in the last 40 years. It's went.
It could be that we got the technology for the cell
we
phones.
don't even. Yeah, we don't even know the stuff they're testing. We know 20 years ago technology right now.
Yeah.
There's probably backlog information that they haven't even released that they're like, oh, you think this is fucking fancy? You think your iPhone fucking 15 is fancy? Fucking give it 20 years. You're going to fucking freak out.
You're going to be fucking.
You're going to be bionic. You might not die. You might become AI.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
1000%.
I could have never convinced my grandmother of the technology and the fancy stuff I have. Could have never convinced her.
Oh no.
She would have thought she was Little House on the Prairie, South Dakota.
Wow, that's
No
amazing.
way. No way.
How far have we come from that?
Right. She would have. My grandfather rode a horse to school.
My Lord.
Literally, Little House on the Prairie. He would have rolled over in his grave if I ever tried to tell him, "Hey, boop, I can do this."
Yeah.
Just by touching this thing in my pocket, I can say boop 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 boop.
Do you have a question about anything? And now, imagine explaining ChatGPT to your grandfather. It just, and that's what I mean with like, we're going to start moving away. Because what does it mean to go fast in technology and make huge leaps in progress in futurism? It means that there's going to be a bigger gap faster with what we leave behind. So we're not even in the same generation. We can be talking to our still living parents and them not know what the fuck we're talking about, and them be in a completely different echo chamber bubble than we are in, because we're out in the world, looking at different. We're people of the internet. I'm still in. I played Nintendo, but we can do live streams. So we're in a very unique part of time where we're analog, but we're also very digital.
I know. So did humans all of a sudden just decide they were smart 70 years ago? No. Or did something happen that gave us the advancements we needed to get to get caught up? Did we reverse engineer something and figure out that, oh man, technology rocks?
Oh yeah.
Guess what I can make out of what I just learned?
And how many people did we suppress along the way? Because if JP Morgan,
all of them,
if JP Morgan allowed Nikola Tesla to really use what he had under the big Tesla coil, that was free energy made from the air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If Tesla, I have a Tesla. I used to work for Tesla. Teslas should be called Musks, because really a real Tesla, if really Nikola Tesla made that car, it wouldn't need to charge. It would get it from the air. If you can't put a meter on it, this is what JP Morgan said. If you can't put a meter on it, we're not going to fucking do that, because we need to meter and drip and suck every single life molecule from these motherfucking cattle for the rest of their lives while they live and trudge and live paycheck to paycheck, while we have propulsion energy systems behind this curtain that can save us all. But they won't do it.
It's great.
They won't do it.
No.
And
Fuck
with
big
that,
fuck big oil.
Fuck you. Fuck you, man. If anybody's a coal miner in West Virginia, I
God
apologize.
bless you. God
You
bless
know,
you.
we're willing to, help you come to the 21st century. Let's get out of coal. Let's get out of all these things. Because what's behind the curtain? We're fighting over nothing. We're fighting over. Some people have electric cars. Oh, yeah, pussy liberals. Oh, you have big fucking trucks. Oh, yeah, redneck conservative.
Yep.
That's all bullshit. There is no left. There is no right. There is no trucks. There is no Tesla.
Right.
What's behind the fucking curtain? That's what really matters.
Mhm.
And hopefully next week when we come back again, I'd love to do this in a row so we don't lose our momentum.
Absolutely.
We can hit upon those different things. But remember, all of these things were already made way before. We're talking about 20s and 30s when Tesla was around, and these things were already happening. So wrap your mind around the last 80 years. Wrap your mind around the deception, the concealment, and everyone trying to hide our true evolution because they want to drip feed us the future.
Corporate greed.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to cut it here. That way we can digest it in a couple different pieces. J-Nunya, I'll see you next week if you're available.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody out there. Shameless plug. Follow me on YouTube if you're not doing that already.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa. Before we do shameless plugs, let's see. Oh, is that, you want me to play that, Rose? Let's see. I'm great. Oh, we win. We get Groot all in
I was
one.
gonna say, who's that? I'm Groot.
Mr. Rose. It's Mr. Rose. Thank you, Mr. Rose. Let's do it one more time for Mr. Rose. I'm great. Jenny G, what's going on?
I love it.
Thank you so much for being around. We're gonna cut it off.
Yeah.
I hope you were here for most of it. If not, catch the replay. We had an amazing conversation. We're
We
gonna
did.
cut it. We're gonna cut it into 2 or 3 parts. I have so much information on my screen that I couldn't possibly play it all tonight. We'd be on here for 6 hours.
Yeah.
So,
I can't do that.
no.
I'm so tired. I gotta go to
Okay.
bed.
my jaw hurt from giving the dissertation. But yo, guys, thank you so much. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Follow me on YouTube if you're not doing that yet. I'm also on Twitch and DLive and Kick, so many different places. Follow me there. I'm also on Midnight Media _TV. That is the IG. There's also a lot of YouTube shorts that I mess around with. We talk about serious stuff like UFOs. We're disseminating TikToks. We're looking at bitches freak out, Karens and cringe shit, all types of stuff. So reach out to me, become part of the community, trying to grow the channel and get to 200 followers, hopefully by the time the married couple gets to 100.
Sounds good.
Everybody like and subscribe. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week, brother. I'll see you soon. More insight.
Thank you, AC. Appreciate you.
J-Nunya, personal friend and Las Vegas guy.
Damn right.
All right, man. I'll see you later. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
sir.